Okay, today is going to be a little bit of a different video. To help show how I write Dungeons & Dragons encounters as a part 2 to my previous video, I will be writing out and playing an encounter for you today, so I hope you enjoy. So, today I'm going to be making an encounter for a 5th level party who have just finished their biggest heist they've ever pulled. And they are now laying low at a tavern a few miles outside of the city where they stole thousands of gold pieces worth of gems from a dwarven mining caravan. Right now the gems are worthless, but the party is waiting for their contacts who know gem cutters that will buy the hunks of rock off them at market value. The party thinks the deal is too good to be true, and they may be correct. Their contact, a gnomish mafia boss by the name of Giuseppe, is coming to Josies Tavern, but he is also bringing his strongest men with him to take the gems from the party by force. Speaking of the party, to write a proper encounter, you'll need to know who you're writing for. So first we have the face of the party, a mastermind rogue with a sharp tongue and an even sharper sword. This half-elf's name is Quincy, but most people just refer to him as Q. Next, we have the brains of the operation, a wizard whose studies of the arcane bored her, so she switched to a life of crime and uses her magical abilities to assist in outsmarting her team's marks. She's an illusionary wizard by the name of Sparks. And finally, we have the brawn of the group. He was once a strongman in the circus and can take anyone in a fight. They used to call him the Infernal Fist due to his tiefling ancestry. But don't let his muscles deceive you, he is smart and quick to the punch. Damien is a way of the open hand monk who will protect his friends at all cost. And as the showdown commences, all of these characters are sitting at a table inside the tavern having breakfast, knowing that their loot is well protected in Spark's arcane lock and Q's lock of trickery combination. Josie is a simple halfling woman. She spent her entire life on her father's farm until one day she met the love of her life, James. Josie and James were wed and they had 2 sons, James Jr. and Jackson. They all built a life together and a tavern outside of the city for weary travelers to stay for a cheaper price than the big cities. They were happy until the war came. And with the war came the death of James, Jackson, and James Jr. Now Josie has grown old and works the tavern by herself. She loves what she does and keeps the tavern in pristine condition, only taking patrons she deems as non-confrontational, in order to keep the tavern in order in James's memory. No one knows this, but due to her fear of tavern brawls or highway bandits, Josie actually keeps a stack of paper birds in her office in order to contact the garrison in the city just in case of an emergency. Inside of Josie's Tavern on the morning of the brawl is going to be Josie herself in the back cleaning up after breakfast, the party, and an old man who frequents the place named Howard. Here is a map of Josie's Tavern right before the action begins. So this is Josie's Tavern, a simple little tavern with a few wooden handmade tables set tight together through every square inch of the bar floor. A bar stocked full of many fine liquors that all seem to be almost full, which may be correlated to the high price margins, and a few draft grogs that Josie, an old halfling woman, is pouring for an older man at the bar who won't take his eyes off her, and a stage set for anyone willing to go up and perform. There seems to be an old guitar along with a piano, all set up for anyone's use, but no one seems to want to. The tavern also sports 3 rooms that are quite small but surprisingly comfortable, with large beds filled with fine feathers and nightstands with complimentary chocolates for any traveler looking to rest their heads for the night. Behind the bar is a small, very clean kitchen where Josie prepares her limited menu of foods that come with a room. And behind that is a small office where Josie keeps her money in a small safe under her desk, which holds many papers along with her paper birds. The party sits, still celebrating their score, at a table in the corner of the bar. Their load of gems is in the room closest to them in a large chest locked up under the bed. Now, Giuseppe is going to be showing up with 3 of his toughest men to rough up the party and take their goods. Giuseppe is a gnome mafia boss who will use the noble stat block. His 3 men will all be bandit captains, but the first of his men, Oleg, is a half-orc. He works for Giuseppe, being bought out of slavery. He is here because he has to be. And if Giuseppe and the other muscles die, he will surrender and try to get his freedom. The second of Giuseppe's men is actually a woman, and she is a red dragonborn named Erica, who is loyal to Giuseppe to the death, and will go into a frenzy if Giuseppe is killed. See, she was once an orphan that was abandoned on the streets until Giuseppe took her in as his own daughter and has promised her his empire when he is gone. And the final of Giuseppe's men is Giuseppe's personal bodyguard, who is paid to look mean and kill anyone who tries to kill Giuseppe. His top priority is Giuseppe's life and will do anything to save him. Mark is a human man of focus who Giuseppe hired on his reputation of once assassinating a very high-value target in Waterdeep. Giuseppe and his men once again plan to intimidate the party into giving over the loot. But if that fails, they will attack and kill the party and everyone else in the bar, making away with the gems either way, leaving no loose ends. As the party finishes up their scrambled goose egg breakfast, Josie pipes up from her conversation with Howard at the bar. I'm going to be going into Bach and doing some paperwork. If you lovelies need anything, just holler for me. Q replies from the table, Everything was wonderful, Josie. Thank you for your hospitality. We're going to be getting out of your hair soon, though, so don't worry about us. And Damien replies with, Yeah, after our business partners come, we're never going to be staying in a place like this again, so we'll be out of your hair. Do not even worry about it. And then everyone continues milling about for about 15 minutes when Howard finally finishes his drink and heads to the door. The whole party makes a perception check as they wait for Giuseppe's arrival, but all fail, with the highest roll being Sparks and an 11. As Howard opens the door, he is met with the silent blade of Mark. And suddenly, a cry is heard from the back, and Oleg emerges carrying Josie slung over his shoulder. As Oleg tries to apologize profusely to Josie, she is not hearing any of it and continues to scream bloody murder, while Giuseppe begins to address the entire room. Everyone stay nice and calm now. Nobody move a muscle. Oleg, tie those two up by the piano, and everyone else stay cool. As he finishes his statement, Erica emerges from the bedrooms with a large chest and an even larger grin as smoke billows from her mouth. Oleg finishes up tying Josie and Howard, and as he gets up, he says to them, Don't try to escape. If you escape, he will make me kill you, and I will be punished for tying bad knots. So please, don't escape. The two parties talk for a short while, and agreement is not met. Before anyone even has a chance to react, Damien, in a fit of rage, jumps on the table and attacks Giuseppe, and everyone rolls initiative. At the height of this initiative, we have Q, who is currently cornered in the back of the table. So, he is going to use his movement to drop prone and fire one shot with his short bow at Giuseppe from under the table. Missing, but as a bonus action, he shouts out, You better know what you're doing, Damien! With saying this, he uses the feature Master of Tactics, giving Damien advantage on his next attack. Next up is Damien himself, who is going to make an attack with his spear. With his advantage, he escapes a natural 1 and hits Giuseppe with a 17, dealing 4 damage. And following up with a kick to the head, rolling a 15 that barely connects with Giuseppe's neck, dealing 7 damage. Giuseppe chokes on the kick and keels over in his chair and falls unconscious. Then, as a bonus action, Damien follows up with a fury of blows, attacking the bigger man Oleg twice with his spear, rolling a crit on the first attack, dealing 6 damage, and then he sadly rolls an 11, which misses. Damien applies a stunning strike to his first attack, but Oleg, with a hard grunt, powers through it. It is now Mark's turn, who is going to see his boss, who is the person who pays him, fall on the floor, and pick him up and hightail it for the door. Picking up Giuseppe will be his action, so he will be receiving an opportunity attack from Damien. Damien rolls a 9 for that attack, missing Mark. Mark moves 30 feet from the fight, around the chairs to avoid difficult terrain, and ends his turn. Moving on to Erica, who is going to attack Damien 3 times, twice with her scimitar and 1 with her dagger, rolling a 14, a 19, and Jesus, a crit. slicing up Damien at his legs within a fit of rage, screaming and dealing a total of 17 damage to Damien as he goes out with a cry in pain. Sparks, seeing her friend in great pain and Mark getting away with the man that betrayed her, she is going to make a decision. A decision to save her friend and cast Witch Bolt on Erica, extending her arm out with a small twig and reciting an arcane phrase. Sparks rolls a 10 on her attack, which will have the spell fail. And now we're moving on to Oleg. Oleg watched as Q ducked under the table, and he hasn't taken his eyes off him since. So he will use his action to flip said table, not thinking straight. Rolling a not natural 20, Oleg lifts the table above his head and chucks it towards the bar. Damien, who is still on that table, rolls a 17 for his dexterity saving throw, landing on his feet right next to Erica. After that turn of events, we are now back to Q, who is going to stand up now that he is exposed, and move to the side of Sparks, getting in a line of sight of Erica. Rolling to hit with his short bow, he gets a 24, dealing 20 damage in total with his sneak attack, and giving Sparks a pat on the back as a bonus action, along with inspiration. Now on to Damien, who is going to attack Erica with his spear in retaliation, rolling a non-natural 20, along with a kick to the chest that is a 24. He will also attack with a Fury of Blows on Erica, with 2 spear attacks hitting twice with a 20 and a 21, doling out a disappointing total of 25 damage. Onto Mark, who continues to run with the dash action with his boss in his hands, and is now getting into the carriage and being taken out of combat. Erica, seeing her adopted father being carried away, and knowing that she is on the brink of defeat, will use her action to grab the case and move away from the party. Damien connects on his opportunity attack, rolling a 15, but all that he connects with is Erica's sword, and everyone hears a clang as she parries and quickly gets away, finally leaving us with Sparks, who is going to move up just a tad and use her inspiration to try to hit Erica with a Witch Bolt. She avoids a natural 1, and ends up hitting her with an unnatural 20, dealing 20 electrical damage, sending shocks all throughout Erica's body, and doing just enough to leave her limp on the floor, aside of course from the occasional jolt of aftershock. This also leaves the chest full of precious gems lying beside her. Oleg, now left on his own, surrenders to the party, dropping to his knees and pleading, I don't like working for them. You gotta believe me. I am a slave. Please let me go. I promise I will be good. The party discusses Oleg's fate as they let Josie and Howard go. Josie, who sees the humanity now in Oleg, says, well, the way I see it, he did no harm, and I will need some muscle around here, I suppose, especially after this. I will keep a good eye on him and pay him what I can if you just let him live. He replies, I see no reason to kill this big lug. No harm, no foul. Sparks hands over one of the uncut gems to Josie and says, it will probably be best if we were never here. The party departs from Josies Tavern and continues on their adventure, with the threat of the still living Giuseppe weighing on their minds. Thank you guys for watching this video. I know it was a little different from my normal uploads, but it was a lot of fun to make. If you want to see more of this, don't worry, because in my next video, I will be doing the same, but for a boss fight encounter. Who knows, maybe even Giuseppe will return. So please subscribe if you don't want to miss that upload, and be sure to share my video with anyone who you know that might enjoy it. Have fun playing D&D, everyone.